Welcome to the 700 Club. Twists and turns in the president's impeachment trial. First, there's an argument that the charge of obstructing Congress should be dismissed outright. That would leave only one of the grounds that they have for impeachment. Apparently, the rogue committees of Schiff and Nadler did not have authorization from the full House of Representatives, which is what the Constitution says. And this question, how could a controversial claim in an upcoming book by John Bolton affect the trial? Dale Hurd has the latest on these twists in the impeachment saga.
The president's defense picks up again today, building on attorneys' opening arguments that there were no impeachable offenses, and the House committees exceeded their authority in their investigation.
We intend to show over the next several days that the evidence is actually really overwhelming, that the president did nothing wrong.
And as for the charge of obstruction of Congress, White House Deputy Counsel Patrick Philbin said the subpoenas issued by Adam Schiff's committees were invalid because they were not authorized by the full House.
Subpoenas that had been issued by Manager Schiff's committees were invalid because the House has not authorized your committees to conduct any such inquiry or to subpoena information in furtherance of it. Because under long-settled precedent, there had to be a vote from the House to give authority, and the administration would not respond to subpoenas that were invalid.
Some believe the stakes over witness testimony at the impeachment trial just got higher with the leak of a new book from former National Security Advisor John Bolton that appears to undercut a key defense argument. In The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir, Bolton reportedly writes that President Trump wanted to continue freezing $391 million in security assistance to Ukraine until officials there helped with investigations into Democrats, including the Bidens. But Deputy White House Counsel Michael Purpura asked, how could there have been a quid pro quo with Ukraine when the Ukrainians were not even aware that the security assistance was paused?
There can't be a threat without the person knowing he's being threatened. There can't be a quid pro quo without the quo.
President Trump flatly denied the new report, tweeting, "I never told John Bolton that the aid to Ukraine was tied to investigations into Democrats, including the Bidens." And in another tweet, he lashed out at House impeachment manager Adam Schiff, tweeting, "Shifty Adam Schiff is a corrupt politician and probably a very sick man. He has not paid the price yet for what he has done to our country." Schiff called the tweet a threat.
This is a wrathful and vindictive president. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
You take that as a threat?
I think it's intended to be.
John Bolton has said he will testify if subpoenaed by the Senate. Democrats say reports about his new book show that Bolton must testify. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
I want to say something about John Bolton. You remember the Democrats kept him from being the ambassador to the United Nations because they were opposed to his strong views about these rogue states such as China and Russia. Well, you think that now John Bolton is going to line up against the president with the Democrats? Not a chance. This man isn't about to do that. And I think that he owes allegiance to the president, and he understands he's in a confidential relationship. There is no way under heaven he's going to attack the president of the United States who put him into this job. It's just not going to happen. So I think that, first of all, if they had wanted him, the House should have put these people in. There was such a hurry. But I want to point out as strongly as I can, neither Adam Schiff nor Jerry Nadler in their committees had the authority of the full House. There was no motion in the House to authorize their committees to begin an impeachment. And therefore, the subpoenas they sent to the White House, furtherance to what they thought were their obligations, are not valid. And I think that the first thing that ought to happen today as they get underway is to knock out that item of impeachment, so-called obstruction of Congress. Schiff and Nadler are not Congress. They're two very willful committee chairmen who are not authorized, and therefore what they said is invalid, And so why should we spend a lot of time debating and discussing their invalid motion? So that will bring down the article of impeachment to 1. And that's the way it ought to be. So before this day is out, the Senate should make a move, or at least the manager should move to strike that particular article as being of impeachment as being invalid. And that leaves one of them. And then from then on, it's going to be a relatively short proceeding. Well, in other news, shocking grief as the world mourns the tragic death of an NBA legend, Kobe Bryant. EFREM Graham has more from the CBN newsroom about that. Here's EFREM.
Pat, the world of sports is devastated at the superstar's untimely death. Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others died in a helicopter crash near Los Angeles. Thousands of fans gathered outside the Staples Center where Bryant played for the Lakers his entire 20-year career.
One thing that I really noticed is for the amount of people that are out here, it's silent. Everybody's in grief, everybody's mourning, everybody has respect for this man and his family and his daughter. It's painful. We really lost somebody legendary today.
Kobe Bryant, known for his fiery competitiveness, went straight to the Los Angeles Lakers from high school at 18 years old. He won 5 NBA championships, 2 Olympic gold medals, and was an 18-time All-Star. Bryant is 3rd on the list of all-time NBA scorers, surpassed by LeBron James the night before he died. James spoke about Kobe's influence on his life as a young man.
And I remember one thing that he said, he was like, if you want to try to be, great at it or want to be one of the greats, you got to put the work in. There's no substitution to work. And I was a 15-year-old kid at that camp.
Bryant had difficulties in his personal life, facing a sexual assault charge that was dropped and a civil suit that was settled out of court. He said that incident and his struggles in his marriage led him to turn to his Catholic faith for strength and guidance. He reportedly attended Mass weekly, including the morning of the accident that took his life. He also founded a foundation to help homeless young people. Kobe Bryant was 41 years old. There are now 5 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in the United States, 2 in Arizona, 2 in California, and 1 in the state of Washington. Health departments in more than 20 states are screening dozens of people whose symptoms are consistent with the virus, including 3 in Virginia. Globally, at least 80 people have now died from the respiratory illness. At the epicenter, Chinese authorities have shut down 17 cities near Wuhan, affecting more than 50 million people. The U.S. is evacuating its consulate and some Americans from that area. Health officials are monitoring arrivals from the area at 5 U.S. airports. Pat?
Thank you. The question is, are they overreacting? It looks like this is a flu-like virus. It does kill people, but is it? I mean, the whole Chinese economy is now in turmoil, and they're restricting millions of people in their movements on this holiday. This is the big deal for China, this New Year's. Well, joining me now is CBN health reporter LORIE Johnson. And LORIE, how concerned do you think Americans should be over this coronavirus?
Well, Pat, the CDC said the risk to Americans is low, although they do point out that there will likely be more cases diagnosed in America. Health officials are quick to point out, Pat, that Americans should be far more concerned with a different virus that is spreading throughout the United States and is deadly, and that is the influenza virus, the flu. So far this season, Pat, 56 children have died from the flu in the U.S., 8,200 adults, and it isn't even February yet. February is often the peak of the flu season in the United States.
Well, why do you think people have gotten so panicked about this particular coronavirus?
Well, because it's new primarily, and they don't know what it's going to do. Is it going to mutate? They want to get a handle on it, and they also want to develop a vaccine for it. The World Health Organization met for 2 days last week, and were trying to decide whether to declare it a global health threat, and they decided no, that it doesn't really rise to that yet. It is definitely an emergency in China, but not elsewhere. The director of the World Health Organization is going to China today to get more information. information. And of course, this could change at any time, and we'll keep everybody updated.
Well, now, Lori, before you leave, if somebody gets it, two now in Virginia, where we happen to be living, if somebody gets it, what do you do to treat them?
Well, the people in Virginia are being tested for it. And what happens is it's an upper respiratory virus. And so the symptoms are very much like the flu. And people who are at risk can have their samples sent to the CDC. And with 24 hours, the results can be confirmed. And many of the people who have been tested by the CDC do not have the coronavirus. So that's good. Only 5 confirmed cases in the United States so far.
That's, I think, encouraging, but it's amazing how we're panicked on this particular thing. And she says influenza is much worse and a lot more people dying from it. But anyhow, the quote, the common cold and now flu. But we've had some kind of a bug going around CBN and Regent, and people finally come on the other side, but it's very debilitating for a few days.
Well, I'm sure because of the focus on this, they'll be on top of it in the news, and we'll watch what transpires as
I'm glad to see.